What is up, Los Angeles, and welcome back to your Rams LAFB show. I am your host, Ryan Anderson. Different mood around here, I would have to say. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you say that, Aaron Coscarelli of Believe in Rams?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, am I frozen? Okay, are we good?
No. Okay, good. I think technically we're off to a good start, as opposed to last week where I had an echo.
It was a much more enjoyable game. This is sort of the get back, get right game that the Rams were hoping for. This was not a game they could have afforded to lose if they wanted to keep in the same race with the Seahawks in the conference. And it was fun to watch this game. It was fun to see a full, what was it, over 500 total yards of offense. I mean,
was it really?
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, I say, wow, that's incredible. And I didn't know that because, you say this was fun to watch. As a storyteller, as a journalist, as somebody that's looking for the tension that makes things compelling, there was nothing. There was, outside of maybe two drives at the beginning of the game. I mean, I was on Tinder, I was swiping.
You're always looking for problems.
I'm a natural skeptic. If you look at storytelling, there has to be tension. Nobody wants to watch a movie where, somebody normal and everything goes good for them. Right. We got to have some conflict in the story. Mm-hmm. And this is exactly what you want to do to this kind of opponent. To bring in a little bit of tension. Earlier in the season, I was very critical of this team because I was looking at this roster. I was looking at what they did in 2024 and 2023. And I was like, this needs to look a lot crisper and more beautiful and less herky-jerky and forced. And I was thinking about that Tennessee game. The Tennessee Titans are now 2-9 or 2-10 or whatever they are. Not a good team. The Rams beat them by 14 points. This is the kind of game I wanted to see in week 2, where they just pasted the Titans. Now I understand, there's a progression to football teams, and real football isn't played until after Thanksgiving, until the snow hits the ground, what have you. But this is exactly what you want to see from the game. And you say, you said that this was sort of a must win so that they can control their destiny. Going around the league, Packers pull one off against the Bears to move into, I think they're now in first place of the NFC North. Seahawks dominate the Falcons, which is good and bad. I mean, we get that, that draft pick from the Falcons, but obviously the Seahawks are a force to be reckoned with in the NFC. Vikings dominate the Commanders. Interesting thing. Buccaneers lose to the Saints there. Plot thickening around there. Lions on Thursday night pull off a victory against the Cowboys. And then we got the Eagles and Chargers on Monday night. So plenty of NFC intrigue out there. I don't think we really moved off of our position as this is the best team in the NFC, maybe the best team in the NFL. Where are you feeling? What are you feeling right now?
It's funny. Well, listen, if you beat any opponent 45-17, you got to feel good about the flight, your flight home. It's still a division opponent, but I always caution an asterisk, because is it that this team rose to the occasion, which they obviously needed to do after last week. Even Kobe Turner said, I feel bad for whatever team we're playing week 14. Sorry, Cardinals. But at the same time, it's the Cardinals missing some key players. Are they the number one team in the NFL? Are they the number one team in the NFC? You want to have this kind of showing, and it was funny. I got into a debate with somebody on Twitter. Is this a passing offense or is this a rushing offense? What's your take on it, Ryan?
Well, that's an interesting question. We talked.
Offense, But I think what we saw, and you might have tweeted it out, they were having success running the ball, and then they decided to throw 3 times, none of which were successful. Whenever that was at the end of the first quarter. Uh, you know, if they, why do they ever abandon the run when they know that the run, and one of the big unsung heroes or sung heroes of the game is the emergence of Blake Corum, who Tyler and I from FanDuel would always talk about. Why is he not being involved in the offense more last season? And look, all 3 phases. The offensive line had an incredible, no sacks. And I think if you establish the run, you open up lanes for passing. So that's why I say, obviously, this is a passing offense, but they seem to win every single week in a more unique way from the week before. So,
yeah, I mean, I think the bigger question is about McVay. Is he a passing play caller, or is he a running play caller, right? And I will say that he is a passing play caller. But we talked about Mike LaFleur,
yeah.
and in his influence on our Friday show,
Mhm.
and he was brought in to convince Sean McVay to run the ball more, essentially. They shifted how they ran the ball from a primarily outside zone blocking schemes to a gap blocking scheme. And that's falling apart a little bit. But
You said I
anyway,
need
what I'm trying to say is,
lights on.
oh, festive. I love it.
Yeah.
And I mean, Sean McVay wants to call passing plays, but you need a complementary running game as well. And they had that. And it's, I mean, who cares if you're getting the job done? It doesn't matter what the team's identity is moving the ball down the field. Now,
Yeah.
if McVay gets back into that old way of thinking where, hey, you're picking up 10 yards a carry on that drive, and then you want to throw the ball once you get to the red zone, that can be a problem. But he corrected that as the game went on. He kept running the ball. He didn't get away from it. So I'm nonplussed by that debate, because it doesn't matter how you get the job done. If you get the job done and you're putting points on the board and you're moving the ball, doesn't really matter. And thinking about the running game, you think about that Carolina game, their commitment to the running game, even though they weren't picking up, big chunks of yardage, the Cardinals did not do that today. They got a little spooked. Jacoby Brissett's average depth of target was 8 yards today. If you look back at what Bryce Young's was, 5.5 yards. He was getting the ball out fast. And even those big, long touchdown passes that he had, he got them out quick. Those were like 10-yard passes, something like that. So is there a blueprint to beat this team? I would say yes. But like what I was saying after that game, does every team have the patience to execute that game plan? We saw it on display today. They on those first 2 drives, the Cardinals were moving the ball really, really effectively with Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, really complimentary running game. So, I mean, I'm not going to be critical on this show just because this is exactly what I wanted to see out of this game. So, I mean,
I think the question goes, hey, have they, or will they be able to figure out what they need to do to beat the perceived best team in the NFL? Thanks. That's so sweet.
how am I looking?
Ryan, you never take a day off. You need no makeup. See, Ryan's so patient. I need like time to put on, and clearly I need some right now, but going a bit more unnatural today, because what a game. I mean, I think you have to think about, do you have all the things in place? And Rams fan offense is on fire. It's like, Very rarely does Stafford miss Devontae, Blake Corum. What did he have? I was looking up his stats. I mean, he touchdown
Blake?
after touchdown, 128 yards, 12 carries. And that's and he's so fun to watch. Like he's fun to root for. He's fun to watch. He's super fast. Guy's got wheels. He's very shifty. I don't know. It's nice to kind of give Kyron a little bit of a breather, especially as we head down the stretch the rest of the season. Week 15, they have the Lions, so they're going to need both those guys and ready to go for a big game against Detroit at home.
Yeah, 100%. The rest of the schedule isn't super compelling, but there are a couple of really compelling games on there. Of course, the Cardinals are on there, but the Lions and another game against the Seahawks. So definitely some challenges in there. But I mean, going back to this offense on fire. Well, let me just touch on the defense really quickly. I was touching on Kobe Turner kind of over throughout this week, thinking about his statements and his kind of motivation. Well, he comes out and according to PFF, he has 6 pressures, which might be a season high, tied with Byron Young. So he came out wanting to prove that is his season high per PFF. So he met the moment, but one of my concerns always with this offense was, well, if things aren't working necessarily, Stafford gets back to that kind of Puka Nacua show where he just targets him continuously. And he did that in this game, but it still felt fluid and easy and explosive. And he targeted Nacua 11 times, 7 receptions for 107 yards. And
Nacua.
And 2 touchdowns, which, as Nate Adkins of The Athletic pointed out, first time multiple touchdown game in his career. Can you believe that?
No, I'm surprised. 167 yards. And that's what is so amazing is the balance that we saw in today's game. It just seemed like everyone was picking up what the other was putting down. It seemed very cohesive. I love that the broadcast kept giving the offensive line shouts out because kept Stafford clean, no sacks allowed, and he had time. And it was just, after having 3 turnovers, I think the biggest thing that you want to ask yourself, and Coach McVay says it, each and every week when he's at the presser, it's how do you respond? How do you respond to adversity? How do you not react? How do you respond? And so it really felt like this was the litmus test of after losing on the road in Atlanta, 10 a.m. In Carolina, 10 a.m. kick. How are they going to respond to this Arizona team with Jacoby, who was largely playing well? Arguably better than Kyler this season and airing it out. And, that was one of the things I noticed. I'm curious to get your take. I don't know if this was you or not, but you had put your somewhere, I think on X, that the cornerback position was getting uncomfortably thin. And it felt like Akello, maybe that wasn't you, but somebody was saying that Akello too seemed like he was getting kind of targeted a little bit in the secondary, and they were kind of aiming towards that part of the field, almost as though because of his injury, he hasn't really come up to gain speed yet. Other than that, I see a whole ton of vulnerabilities in this game, obviously.
Yeah, I think the secondary is still the kind of the weakest spot on this and can be exploited if a team is willing to stick to short passes and stick to the running game, making the defensive line earn every snap and stay honest, keep the box full. Akello was targeted 7 times, the most on the team. The next one was Emmanuel Forbes. Akello allowed 6 receptions for 91 yards, NFL quarterback rating of 118.8, which was almost the highest on the team. So, Darius Williams did not play in this game. Also, Ty Hamilton did not play in this game as well. I get a little worried about those two positions, defensive line and the secondary, in terms of depth. Not a huge challenge in this game without Marvin Harrison Jr. And and a bit of a decreased role for Emmanuel Forbes. Well, he ended up playing 41 snaps. Kobe Durant played 40 snaps, and Akello playing 31, all at outside corner. So, is there a liability there? Sure. But that this team is based around the pass rush. So, and that's going, they're going to get home, and they gave Jacoby Brissett fits today. So I think, this team isn't unbeatable, but the way the offense is playing right now, it is reminiscent of the greatest show on turf, where Stafford is playing lights out. McVay, you and I talk a lot about the emotional side of this game. McVay seems to be feeling so much more free, having another, I talk about on defense, they have their fastball, which is their pass rush. Do they have the curve, or do they have the slider? Do they have another pitch? Maybe, maybe not. On offense, they got several. So, I'm saying Puka Nacua, it was the Puka Nacua show, had a great day, 2 touchdowns, 167 yards. He also targeted 10 other receivers today.
I know, yeah.
So it didn't have that feeling like it did last season and early on in this season. This offense is multiple. The running game is churning. What Davis Allen has become and what Colby Parkinson have become.
Yeah. They got back to 13 personnel.
Yep.
Back to the number 1 seed in the NFC. Yeah. And right in the nick of time, because next week it's, I think this is going to feel like it's an important game, just like it felt against Detroit last year. So.
Yeah. Well, I always get myself in trouble with this question, but like I was saying at the top of the show, struggling to come up with tension and and stories for our episode of the Rams LAFB show. But Byron Young, 6 total pressures. Kobe Turner, 6 total pressures. DeJuan Johnson, 6 total pressures. Jared Verse with just 3. Braden Fisk with 3. Poona Ford with 2. The Rams have been able to coast a bit on defense because they have 4 quality guys on the defensive line who are on cheap contracts. But this is year 3 for Byron Young and Kobe Turner. Who are they going to sign of those 4? If you were to prioritize it, how would you rank them in terms of they can't re-sign all 4.
Okay, so say the names again.
So Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, Byron Young, and Kobe Turner. Kobe Turner and Byron Young, they're on their 3rd year. So they might get a contract next year.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But and then a year down the line, Jared Verse and Braden Fisk are going to have to get a contract. I can't imagine they can keep all 4.
Always looking for problems. We're not even there yet. Can we just enjoy this win before we start looking for issues and
what is this? What is this word you use? Joy? What is
joy? This word joy, Mr. Grinch. No, it's true though. You do have to figure out how do you get some sort of capital somewhere.
Right.
and start thinking about these things now, obviously. But I think, yeah, that's but it's a good problem to have. They signed up Nate Landman. They've gotten some guys on a very
Nate
discounted
Landman.
Landman.
What a great what a great game too. Anyway, sorry.
I know, I know. So,
That pick. Wow.
uh, you know, when was Blake Corum drafted in the second round, third round last year? He was a third
Third
round, right?
round, I want to
Before.
say. Yeah.
Anyways, either way, it's amazing if you look at these guys and how they contribute and where the Rams are able to get a lot of bang for their buck. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a good problem to have. How are you going to keep this group
You
together?
that you don't even want to touch that third rail.
The what?
You don't want to touch that third rail of which defensive lineman, and I'll throw
Oh,
Quentin
oh,
Lake
oh,
into
yeah.
that conversation as
Oh,
well.
it's like saying who's your favorite child. Like what are
Yeah.
you gonna do? They're all great. It's like they're gonna get paid. That's what's gonna happen. They're gonna get paid.
They're gonna keep all of them and Quentin Lake.
You
I'm
get
not
a
okay.
car. You get a car. You get a car.
All right.
Uh,
Well, I'll say that they've successfully had one of the cheapest defenses in the league over the last 2 years. Really came into their own. We can leave it at that. I won't hold your feet to the fire on it. But eventually you and I are going to have a conversation about the contract situation
yes.
for this team. This is
Yeah.
something, we don't have to think about it today. We're having a great time. Huge victory. So, we don't have to broach that subject, but guys, it's coming. Put it on the back burner for now. We've got, 8 weeks before
You
we have to
you
really think about
clearly
it.
you clearly want to say what's yours.
Well, I used to say Byron Young was probably the odd man out. But now after this year, I mean,
I mean, yeah, you can't.
but
Didn't he get was it his 11th sack?
that's incredible. He did get a sack today, yeah. I
Let
mean,
me see.
PFF calls it 12, but they don't count half sacks. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I
I mean,
mean, he's gonna earn a very expensive contract, and there are gonna be teams that go after him
mhm.
if he becomes a free agent. So anyway, what else? you take the reins and tell me what we need to talk about for this
No,
game.
well, listen. Look, here's the thing. Uh, for you folks, I texted you yesterday. I texted Maria and I texted Deb. McVay's sick. He's not on the flight. He's not coming to. He might not come to Arizona. Like I was really ready to just be. What's going on? Why is he not with the team? Uh, do we know what ended up happening? So I don't know for you folks if you didn't know, but Sean McVay did not fly to Arizona. What was that you're drinking? Is that a
Madeira. It's a fortified
okay?
wine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so this unusual news, timeline popped up on my phone and said McVay did not travel with the team. And obviously, he doesn't want to get the team sick. He's not trying to get on the team plane or a team flight. But you just have to wonder what could it have been when what we've all gone through the last few years with being sick. So you never know if did he have COVID or can you
No.
get rid of COVID in a day? I mean, like nothing's gonna allow for that guy to not coach the game. But the fact that he decided to not get on a plane to go to Arizona must indicate whatever he had was not a great feeling and he didn't want to get the rest of the team sick. So you didn't see any after effects on the sidelines. He seemed totally fine. And when you have Reggie Scott as your, sports medicine genius, I'm sure he gave him who knows what, but glad to see he's feeling better.
Yeah, well, last week or 2 weeks ago, I think I said, maybe staffers should just skip training camp every year. Maybe we should introduce a virus, a novel virus or a bacteria to McVay every week, and and they'll call a game like this. Uh, yeah, I mean,
right?
pretty pretty incredible. I mean, is this on the level of a flu game, a Michael Jordan flu game from the '90s? I don't know if you
Oh
remember that
yeah.
far back. He doesn't.
You know, but let's talk a little bit about Puka, because you know what I thought about when he was making like crazy catch after crazy catch, and just it's almost like it's like the week before you couldn't think he could play any better, and then he's just just not taking his foot off the gas. How much do you think being with a guy like Devontae all the time, they talked about their relationship sort of heading into camp, and Devontae, I remember him talking about it, or I had asked him, he's like, look, I'm sure I'm a role model, but it's not really like I'm not doling out advice everywhere I go. These are adult men. But I wonder how much Devontae, just by virtue of osmosis, being around him all the time, has that rubbed off on Puka's game. I mean, because Puka was already incredible, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? But like, how did he? I wonder how he elevates him, if any. He must, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think Puka is sort of a sponge in a way.
Mhm, mhm,
He's had two of the greatest mentors so far in his
mhm,
professional career that
mhm.
you could ask for. I mean, his he
And
and
Stafford as a. You were talking
100.
about Cooper, right?
Yeah, Cooper Cup is. I
Yeah.
mean, he is a quarterback who is playing the wide receiver position. Cooper Cup is.
Mhm,
You listen to him talk about the game or anything else, and you realize this guy is not just smart but also thoughtful, and that's something that McVay makes a distinction about people being thoughtful, and conscientious is a word he uses a lot. Um, and I the two of them had been together their entire career, so I don't know if
mhm,
McVay learned that specifically from having a guy like Cooper Cup on the roster. But early on in the broadcast, the one of the announcers talked about how um, Puka had improved as a route runner, and
mhm,
that is what makes Devonte Adams and Cooper Cup special as receivers, is getting off the line quickly, running the route, and then making those adjustments within the route based on what you see in the defense, split
mhm,
second thinking. And, you know, I think Puka's coming into, it's like leaving home for college, or when your older sibling, for me anyway, when my sister left the high school that we went to, I was able to become more of my own person
mhm,
rather than my sister's little brother. Um, I think he's taking that step into a leadership position, which, from my observation, he kind of held off on. He kind of wasn't eager. He wasn't an eager leader, for whatever reason. But I think he's moving into that. And before this game, the Rams posted a video of him hyping up the kind of the core group, and you know, is he a skilled orator? No, but he's
yeah,
got the
what?
energy. A skilled orator. He's not like a wordsmith. He's not
Oh,
the guy that's out there that's communicating in a way, but the enthusiasm that he brings to the game is evident
mhm,
over that, and that's his leadership right there.
mhm,
He's maturing into that role
mhm,
as a leader on this team, which is happening at a very opportune time.
mhm,
Devontae Adams has no guarantee. No, Devontae Adams has a very high cap hit after this year, $28 million.
mhm.
Only one receiver right now has a higher cap hit than him. So that we'll see what happens with that contract. But
Do you think that he would want to stay? I mean,
I mean,
the question is the Rams are not going to pay that. So then they have to
probably,
figure out, obviously, a middle ground of, hey, how much do you like it here, and what's it to you to stay here for a discount? Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I would imagine there's like, where else would you go after this? You're not going anywhere, buddy. Sorry,
Yeah, I would have.
you'll make it work.
Unless he's really interested in getting that one last kind of paycheck, which he's 33 years old this year, so that could be on the table. But he also might want to go after another Super Bowl,
But that's
if
what
you will.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I agree. One last paycheck. I think he's got enough Taco Bell endorsements. Dude's good. He's got the chef. I think a chef's name is like Henry. He talks about the Taco Bell guy. I think he's fine. Uh yeah, he's gonna want to stay in LA. But you
One
know,
would imagine.
one would imagine you get to be with McVay and yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends on
No dark clouds hanging
no dark
over.
clouds. But
Right.
also, it's interesting. I almost think while Devontae has leverage, the Rams have a lot of leverage. Thinking about, they want to go younger.
Mhm.
So they already have Puka. I'm assuming Stafford's going to stay obviously another year.
Well, let me ask you
Do
this.
this again.
This is a debate that I've gone back and forth on over and over again in my head, talking to myself, which I do all the time.
Mm.
Okay, so Matthew Stafford. Okay, so I've made my voice heard. I don't believe in jinxes or anything like that. This is a Super Bowl worthy team. If they don't make the Super Bowl, I'll be an unhappy camper about this season. Okay, McVay wins, Stafford wins. Do you ride off in the sunset,
No.
or do you try to you try to wait? Well, so
Who are you referring to? There's absolutely you're talking Stafford maybe.
run it back. Well, Stafford is the question.
There's
McVay is another question that we'll handle after the
No, you
season.
know what? He's going to Australia next year. There's absolutely too much on the line. There's no way they're not letting McVay not go down under and shake hands, kiss babies. Come on, like the organization needs McVay, but
McVay's off the table for right now. Let's just say that.
for
I'm
all
not convinced. I'm not convinced he's going to come back for another year. That's just me. I'm always skeptical. I'm
you
always
are.
skeptical.
Who are you talking about? You're talking about McVay. There's no way.
McVay, yeah.
Guys, come on. I need people to chime in right now. Is Ryan on is he caught something? Is he on some kind of medication here?
I'm,
No, I look, it's a fair question because of what happened a few years ago.
but
And
I don't
anything
want to, I want to talk specifically about Matthew Stafford, and then we'll get out of here. But would as a stamp on a career, there's always the what if.
Mhm.
But do you if they win the Super Bowl, Stafford rides off into the sunset, or does he run it back?
Peyton Manning, does he Peyton Manning it? Uh yeah. Well, I what else is he gonna do? Stay at home and like carpool? Maybe. I
He's
don't
got
think
5
so.
kids. He loves his family.
He does. And he's got 4 like gorgeous young girls, like the cutest family. Obviously, his wife Kelly. They're always
He
there
wants him to
supporting him.
retire. There's pressure there.
You think so? She wants him to retire? I'm sure, right? She's like, okay, that's enough. Um, you know, it really just depends. I think it can become very like it can feel political, right? If he's not getting offered the right amount, why then put yourself in? What else do you need to prove, right? I think for the right amount of money, especially now, you're for sure a locked in, guaranteed Hall of Famer. Is Stafford not a Hall of Famer if he doesn't win the Super Bowl again?
That is a good question. The Eli Manning debate is probably the one that's really indicative of which direction it'll go. Eli's got two championships under his belt. Some good stats, but nothing, on the level of
Right, right,
Stafford.
right. Yeah.
So, you know, winning a second Super Bowl really,
Locks it up.
stats, it really locks it up. Yeah, I think gold jacket then, but
I think
I'm going to hold your feet to the fire on this one, just because it's an opinion question.
yeah.
It's what you prefer. If you were in Stafford's position, would you go out on top, or would you run it back? We're both in our 40s, right?
No, it's a great, yes, I am. I'm 41. It's a great question to ask, because the question is not so much, do you want to keep playing football? It's at what point will you start to see a significant decline where playing football is now no longer fun and you're actually potentially putting yourself in harm's way, you know? Like it's to me, it's more about pride and what you think you can, I think it really depends on what Stafford's back situation is. Is he going to get the surgery? Does he need surgery? I also think if he doesn't think he can play or have the mental bandwidth, emotional bandwidth, he's not going to want to take all that money either. At that point, he's not going to take a discount if they win the Super Bowl. Why would he do that?
That's a great point vis-a-vis our previous conversation where I didn't make you answer. Expensive quarterback plus expensive defense.
Mm-hmm.
That changes a lot of the calculus heading into next season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's actually a much more interesting question when you layer in what goes into a decision like that. You have 4 young girls. Your wife probably is like, hey, it's time to spend more time at the dinner table. I don't know, even though they travel to his games. What matters most at 38? He'll be 38, right, in February, I think. So, yeah.
What do you do? What do you do? What do you do if you're Stafford? Do you leave or do you?
I think you do one more year, and you just you're the year is not so much. I mean, sure, hopefully you win again, but it's more a thank you to the organization. Like let me leave a lasting legacy, and really take in what this means. I mean, he's doing it already, but I would come back for one more year. I would.
Love it. There we go. I got an answer, guys.
What would you do?
I'd retire.
You would,
because I would. I think, it goes back to what I was saying at the top of the show about myself as a storyteller, as a journalist. Like, that's the best story. You leave your best season in your career, possibly, and you're a myth. You're a legend. Whereas, guys that hang around a year too long, like Tom Brady did it pretty well. He hung around a year too long, but like
Rodgers.
Well. Tom Brady.
No, I'm saying, what about Rodgers?
Rodgers is should have retired. Like, I mean, he's not playing well and he's getting hurt, and
he's ruining organizations wherever he goes. He's getting GMs fired, coaches fired.
Yeah, 100%. And that's not a risk with the Rams, but Peyton Manning wasn't the reason that the Broncos won the Super Bowl that year.
He had the most interceptions the same year I think he retired. So yeah.
Drew Brees hung around too long. And these things get corrected over time, but that hit of just being like, I'm out. I had a great time. I had a great career, made a lot of money. He's one of the all-time bag champions of the NFL. And leaving on top, there can't be anything sweeter than that. And there's a reason I'm not rich, successful, nor an athlete. Like, I don't have that I don't have that drive, that competitive thing that you obviously have. And I lack it. And all great athletes and all great, like, like, there's a dollar amount that if I ever got to, I would just retire it immediately.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
and and Elon Musk doesn't have that,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
so
Well, and I think,
he's
yes,
built much differently than I am,
but
obviously.
also the NFL is for the love of the game. Like these guys are
Yep.
not, just cashing checks. I mean, I can't imagine if you're Max Crosby, I would have a hard time, um, you know, being a high motor, super talented guy and then, commit to an organization that just hasn't seemed to figure it out yet.
Yeah.
That would make it hard for me to show up to work every day.
Miles Garrett.
But Miles Garrett. I remember when we were at Super Bowl. Were you there in New Orleans when he's like, "Don't ask me about like what just got announced about him wanting to trade," and he's like showing up to media row or radio row, and we're like, all right, well, so how's like Super Bowl week going?" Don't do that, guys. Please don't do that to the media. It's not fair. We want to talk about the things that you announce. But yeah, he wasn't happy. I don't know. It's a very interesting thing when you are on a team like the Rams, whether it's a coach or a player. It's hard to leave here. I can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And on the other hand, Aaron Donald, he didn't leave at the top necessarily, after 2023. But he was still at the peak of his powers. And I always mean to look up who says this, but a football player once said, you don't pay me to play, the 16 games, now 17 games. You pay me to prepare in
Mm,
the off season and during the season training, like all of, like, can you imagine years and years and years of just sacrificing, you know, holidays and family time and and committing to getting better and working out and not resting on your laurels, you know, not taking a gap year where you're just like, I'm gonna put on a few pounds and
uh,
really kick back this summer and just kind of enjoy myself. These guys since probably, early teens, mid teens up
mhm,
until whenever they retire, they're sacrificing all of those things. And that takes an emotional toll. I mean, I just told my parents I'm not coming home for Christmas because I'm
mm,
locked in for you guys, for the Rams LAFB show and my writing and for LAFB in general. I'm not traveling to Nebraska. That, how many years in a row can you do that before you
yeah.
just,
And think about that, right? Like if you never got to go home to visit your parents for the holidays because you were so committed to work, it's almost like you have to wonder how Tom Brady actually does feel. Granted, yes, greatest of all time, but maybe Giselle would have still been his wife if he retired just a couple of years earlier.
yeah, yeah.
You froze. You froze. Did you have a reaction there?
I was getting a little emotional thinking about it.
Oh yes, yeah, right. Well, no, it's true. And by the way, I have no idea the dynamic of that relationship. I'm not sure, but I imagine every let's just even say every holiday or birthday. I was last year potentially going to miss my Thanksgiving with my mom, and I couldn't because I lost my dad a couple of years ago. I just can't not be with her on big holidays. I just can't. It's like I'll never not be with her. So, but you have siblings and your parents are both in good health, so you're good. So don't make a decision to go back home now. But it's true. It's a hard decision. So our point is committing to a football team and putting your health and all the things that you miss. It is a sacrifice. You're right.
Yeah. Well, we've gone long on this one. I didn't think we would make it this far. I didn't think we would make it past 15 minutes. We covered a lot of interesting ground here, though. Thanks.
You really
We're at a peak viewership right now for the
Are
show.
we?
So, well, for today's show anyway. Yeah.
What are people saying? Are they asking any interesting questions?
No, they're stunned. There's a stunned silence.
They're like, why did you take it so dark? So
Yeah,
deep?
exactly. Well, you
All
guys,
right.
yeah.
Let's keep them
Well,
wanting more. Let's sign off.
Tamada finally chimed in. Our guy. We got deep on that. Well, yeah. I mean, Aaron often talk. I like stats. I like cut and dry football stuff. Aaron loves the emotional side of this game. She thinks there's something to it. She thinks that it taps into something deeper. I don't know. I'm not sold. Just kidding. Just kidding.
I'm gonna get you to
Um,
cry one of these days.
you're gonna get me to cry, is that what you said?
I'm gonna get you to cry one of these days.
It's not that hard. You know, age I'm 40. I'm turning 43 in next May. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but
Okay.
once you hit a certain age, like
Oh, is that true?
commercials, commercials are getting to me. Anyway, guys,
I
I
love it.
appreciate you guys hanging with us. As always, love you guys. Can't do it without you, honestly. So you guys tuning in, subscribing, liking, commenting, it's all a big deal. You guys can't even imagine. And as we head into this year, we think about Thanksgiving, times to reflect. Heading into a new year is always a good time to look back and look at how you've grown, changes you've made. Guys, look where we are. Look where we are as Rams fans, as a community of Rams fans. People are talking less and less about how we're not a voice to be reckoned with out there in the world. Rams fans, you guys are making your voices heard. You're turning out to SoFi. You're turning out to the Rams LAFB show. You're turning out to the Rams brothers, Jake Ellenbogen. We're all on the come up together.
Mm.
And it's been a joy. So keep doing it. Tell your friends about us. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Until next time, I'm going to be back with First and Tuna, kind of recapping this game, diving into maybe some nitty gritty and some interesting statistical and other anomalies that we didn't cover in this show, where we covered the everything else in this show. But I'm rambling as I do often at the end of these shows because I never know how to end it. So we'll just say until next time, goodbye. You got anything, Aaron?
Bye, guys.
Bye.